Previously, we've shown you how to set up your AS10 sheet, your material, as well as the origin point on your EGX-20. Now we're going to show you what's required to set up your machine for diamond scribe or gift engraving. In order to do diamond scribing or gift engraving, there's a few things that you're going to need. First of all, you're going to need the burnishing adapter. Roll-in part number is ZB-20. You're also going to need a diamond drag cutter or burnishing tool. You're going to need the smaller hex wrench that came with your machine, as well as your engraving stock, be it trophy brass or a gift. Our next step is to remove the nose cone assembly. We do so using the supplied hex wrench. We loosen up the hex screw that holds the nose cone to the spindle unit. Once we loosen it, we can go ahead and remove the nose cone assembly. Next, we go ahead and install our ZB-20 burnishing adapter. This part, just like the cutter holder for plastic engraving, is a reverse thread. Reverse it all the way down. Then we can use our hex tool to hold it in place to tighten it in position. We then go ahead and install our cutter tool, again our diamond drag tool or burnishing adapter, until it protrudes from the machine and is flush with the top edge of the burnishing adapter. Once we've got it flush, we can go ahead and tighten it down using the supplied hex wrench. Once we've got our ZB-20 and our diamond scribe or burnishing tool installed, at this point we're going to set our Z0. But prior to doing that, what you want to do is turn the machine off and then back on. What this is going to do is going to put the machine into scribing mode, or as the manual shows it, 3D mode. Once the machine has finished initializing, you press the view button to go back to the origin point. You're going to use the joystick to move the machine, again, over a flat spot on the material to set our surface. We press our joystick button in so the Z-axis light comes on. Then we bring our Z all the way down until it touches the surface of the material. Once it touches the surface of the material, we're going to step it down roughly 1/8 of an inch more to compress the spring. Once we've done so, we're going to go ahead and press our origin button until the light comes on, and when you release it, the light should go out. Now, once we've got the machine set up, we're ready to scribe.
Now that we've set up your EGX-20 for diamond scribing, we'll now set up the bundled software Roland Dr. Engrave. First thing we'll do is launch our Dr. Engrave application. Once we've got Dr. Engrave open, we'll now set up the print driver for our job. Do so by clicking on File, Print Setup. Ensure that we have the EGX-20 selected from our drop-down menu. If not, you would click the drop-down menu and choose the EGX-20 from your list. Once we've done so, we're going to set up our work size settings by clicking on Properties and Advanced. We click on the work size settings and click on Properties. Once we're in the Properties, we're going to add a new work size. For this job, we will be using a 4x4 piece of material. We'll select inches as our unit, and we will input 4 inches by 4 inches. We'll then click OK, which brings us back to our driver. The Move to View position we want to turn on. What this will do is once the job is done completing, the carriage and table will move out of the way in order for you to access your engraved piece. Since we will be diamond scribing, we will not be spinning the spindle, so we want to turn this option off. Under our tool option, under materials, we need to choose scribing. Scribing will ensure that the spindle is off, and it will load basic presets for diamond scribing. However, we will make minor changes. With that, we will double click on number 1. We will set our Z speed to the maximum of 6 millimeters per second. Our XY speed we will leave at the maximum of 15 millimeters per second. Our Z down position we will set for minus 3.0 millimeters. Our Z up position we'll set for 3.10 millimeters. And I want to engrave this in one pass. So we will set our Z engraving pitch for 3.00 millimeters. The formula for Z engraving pitch is Z down divided by the number of passes that you want to produce, and that value will then be your Z engraving pitch. And of course, we want to make sure it's a positive value. Once we have that set, we will then click OK. Click OK on our properties, and click OK on our print setup. Now with Windows 2000 and Windows XP, it does require us to go back to File, Print Setup, click our drop-down menu for our paper size, and our new paper size will now show up. We'll select it and click OK. Once we've done so, our screen comes back to the proper size. Now we'll be adding in some text and a graphic to our layout, and then we will send this for engraving. Adding text, you can either draw straight text, or if there's a specific area that you need to put your text, you can use the draw text box. For our example, we will just simply draw text. On the screen, you would just take your icon and click anywhere on the screen, and it gives you your text cursor. We can now type in our text. Once we have the text typed in, we can click on our Select Object tool, and we can reposition our text anywhere on the screen. We can also resize our text. If I want to change my font or change my justification, I can right-click on my text, click Properties, and that brings up my text string properties. In the text string properties, I can change my text height, width, aspect ratio, angle, character line spacing. I can also change my justification. I can also select my fonts. Dr. Engrave will utilize any of your Windows TrueType fonts that you have installed. Also, Roland does provide a handful of Roland single-line fonts which are available for download from the Roland support site. Also with Dr. Engrave, you can also create your own single-line fonts. Please refer to your user's manual on how to do this. For our example, we will be using one of the single-line fonts that were downloaded from the Roland support site. We'll be using Gothic 1. Also, I want to center justify this, so I will select the Center Justification button and click OK. As you can see, my text is now center justified on my document. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a graphic. You could do so by any number of means. You can either click on File and Import. When you import, you can import a BMP file, and Dr. Engrave will vectorize that graphic and place it into your document. You do want to make sure that you use a high enough quality BMP for importing. Also, Dr. Engrave does support Twain32. This is scanning. You can also scan directly into Dr. Engrave. Say, for instance, you have a customer logo. You can actually scan it into Dr. Engrave, and Dr. Engrave will vectorize it for you. Also, we can add in shapes. Dr. Engrave comes with a handful of preloaded shapes that you can use. You can also add to this library. We'll be using one of the symbols in our document. Once you've selected it and inserted it, we can click on Close. There's my graphic. I can take my graphic and reposition it on my screen. I can also resize my graphic. Once I'm done putting my graphic into my document, I can now output this to my engraver. To output the file, you would simply go to File, Print, ensure that you have the proper printer selected, and then you would then click OK to output your file.
And there you have it. Once we've installed our burnishing adapter and have configured the machine properly, this is our finished product.